Chatham Chalice.
Hey.
Tell us about these creatures.
These guys, this is Defiance and Determination. They are a Jersey ox team. And while we mostly have them as pets, oxen can be used like a tractor. They can pull drag harrows, cedars, plows, trees, you name it. If you can hook it up to a horse, you can hook it to an ox.
Okay.
And people have been using oxen longer than they've been using draft horses.
All right. Now you mentioned they're pets. You don't keep them in the house now.
We do not. They
Okay.
are front lawn pets. They're lawn ornaments. Yes.
So does the mailman ever have to, do you have like an invisible fence for them?
Oh, we've got them behind a 4-foot wooden fence. They're pretty good about minding it. I must say they have gotten out, but believe it or not, they are trained to come to their names. So if I rattle a grain bucket and shout for them, they come running.
Now, does the green bucket mean it's lunchtime?
It means there's a treat, and we really want it, so they will come from whatever they're doing to get that treat.
Now, is that their nameplates up there?
Yeah, we've got Determination and Defiance.
And how did you come up with those names?
The farm we got them from tends to name their cattle in family lines. So they came from a line of the cattle that started with D, and it just seemed like good names for oxen. You want them to be tough, strong, and ready to go. So we came up with that.
Now, I noticed you have a nose guard on them. When I saw them earlier, they didn't have it inside the containment. What's the purpose behind that?
The nose guard keeps them a little more focused on their job. It's not that they're going to bite anyone, it keeps them from eating the grass.
Okay.
And you don't want to argue with a steer when he wants to eat, because that's what they're going to do. And this prevents them, because when cattle eat, they rub their tongue to pick up the grass and kind of pull it in their mouth rather than use their teeth. They can't rub their tongue over because it's uncomfortable.
Oh,
so they have
I got
to focus on their job.
So that's a good way for your kids to stop them.
Precisely. If you don't want your kids to eat, put a nose basket on them.
There you go.
Yeah.
How old are these guys?
These guys are 5 1/2. They'll be 6 in September.
All right.
And they've learned how to wear a yoke when they were about 3 weeks old. And it's like starting a puppy with a collar.
Okay.
You start light, you just are gentle with it a few minutes a day. They didn't pull anything till they were 1 1/2, 2 years old, and even then it was light stuff.
Okay. Here's the question. How'd you decide, hey, we want these big guys as pets?
You know, I got a phone call from a friend who said she had 2 bull calves and knew I was interested in starting a team, and called and said, I have 2 bull calves, and I said, sure, and hung up the phone and changed my life and said, wow, what have I done? And we started them.
Now, when you mention a team, do you put them in any type of competition, or?
When you have 2 oxen, you call them a team.
All right.
You can work them singly, but traditionally you work side by side with 2 of them. We don't compete. There are not a lot of ox pulling competitions down here in the South. If you head up to New England and Michigan, you'll find folks going to, on the weekends, weight pulls, just like you would see the tractor pulls, except they'll put a team of oxen and they'll be pulling 4,000, 5,000, 6 pounds.
Okay. In a team, is one of them more dominant than the other?
Yes, and there is always the argument of who's in charge. This tends to be my more dominant steer, and that's why he's closer to me, because he's right next to me and I keep a very good eye. This guy has to be a little more independent because he can't see me. He can only hear my voice, and he feels the touch of the goad on his hip.
When you say you can't see, why is that?
Because typically when you're working an ox team, you're standing about here.
Okay.
And it's mostly done by voice and the touch of the goad. The goad isn't to hit them or hurt them. It's more like a touch, and you drive them like you would a tractor. If I want them to turn left, I speed this guy up. If I want them to turn right, I speed this guy up. If I want them to stop, I put my brakes down here, and it's just an extension of my arm.
Can you put them in reverse?
I can.
Is that difficult?
It's a learned skill, and they don't always back real straight. 5, back 1, back 1, back 1, back 1. Yeah, I know. Back 1, back 1.
Oh, wow.
Back 1, back 1. Oh!
See, folks, you learn this stuff in the Chatham Ag Fest. You don't learn this everywhere. And I appreciate you answering these questions. And you're?
I'm Katherine Beckerdite.
Katherine Beckerdite, and you have a helper over here.
I do. That's my husband, Christopher.
Oh, Chris, so you guys know each other. Good.
We do.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
In college.
Oh, okay.
On the fencing team, no less.
In a city, there was no paddle there.
Yeah.
And so wait a minute. We got a bunch of city slickers, meet in college on the fencing team, and all of a sudden you got 2 big creatures at home.
Yep.
Yeah, there were a few years in between. It's kind of snuck up on me.
All right. But you enjoy doing this, I see.
It's great fun.
What's their lifespan?
You can see them, a working team will last to about 10 or 11. I know somebody who's got a 22-year-old steer, but he's just very much a pet.
Okay.
So it's just kind of dependent on the animal, how hard you work them, and how good a care you give them, just as you would with any other large livestock.
Now, what kind of care do you need to provide them with?
Clean, healthy healthy forage, clean water, and shelter from the elements, and that's pretty much it. These guys can eat hay that horses can't. That's why oxen were used when the settlers went west, because they can eat poor forage. Make sure they're parasite-free, give them a little dewormer, and keep them out of the mud. And they pretty much go about their business.
And why do you want to keep them out of the mud?
You can get infections and funguses, and they can pick up parasites. So you just want to keep, it just helps keep them clean and healthy.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well,